Hey guys, what's up? It's AppleCritics from AppleCritics.com. In this video, I'll be comparing the iPhone XS Max versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So these are two quality phones made by Apple. The iPhone XS Max came out in September 2018, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max came out in November 2020. So these two phones are both within 2 years apart. So the XS Max was once a flagship for Apple, and the 12 Pro Max is the current flagship for Apple. So this should get very, very interesting. So in this video, I'll be comparing both these devices, showing you the advantages and disadvantages of both devices, and in the end, I'll be showing you whether you should upgrade or stay with the XS Max. So first things first, let's start off with the visual. Let's start off with the design of both these devices. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a very nice and refined design compared to the XS Max. So starting off with the dimensions, the 12 Pro Max has a 160.8 millimeter by 78.1 millimeter by 7.4 millimeter design. It weighs 228 grams, and it also is IP68 water and dust resistant up to 6 meters. And then we have the iPhone XS Max. So here's the iPhone XS Max. It's still a quality device overall, and we can see this is the design and everything. So it actually is 157.5 millimeters by 77.4 millimeters by 7.4 millimeters. And the weight is 208 grams, which is much lighter than the 228 gram 12 Pro Max. And it is IP68 water and dust resistant up to 2 meters compared to 6 meters for the 12 Pro Max. So that is the design. Now, it's obvious that the iPhone XS Max is much thinner than the thicker 12 Pro Max, and you can see just the overall design is very different compared to the two, and they're both 2 years apart. Now, basically, all the flagship phones that came out with Apple since the launch of the iPhone X have had a similar design, but the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the only one that really had a much different design from them. So Apple has taken a big step with the 12 Pro Max in terms of design, and I can't say that enough. So unlike its predecessors, it has flat sides with super shiny finish and sharp edges that give the device a premium and very modern look overall. I just simply can't get over how nice this design is to look at. So if we were to compare the design of both these devices, the XS Max just looks outdated. If you're someone who likes to flaunt their device, then the 12 Pro Max is definitely a huge upgrade for you over the XS Max. But if you want to keep your smartphone in a case, you won't be able to show off the 12 Pro Max's. Moreover, the iPhone XS Max is slightly more compact and it weighs much lesser compared to the 12 Pro Max. That definitely is something that you'll notice when you have the iPhone XS Max. So it just makes it easier to handle. And I do still think that the iPhone XS Max is still a great device in terms of design and build quality, but it isn't worth upgrading to the 12 Pro Max just strictly off of looks. Taking a look at the display, on the 12 Pro Max, you get a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR display, which is OLED, and it is 2778 by 1284 pixel resolution with 458 pixels per inch, 800 nits typical brightness, and 1200 nits peak brightness, and it is a wide color display, HDR, and ceramic shield protection. Now, the iPhone XS Max has a 6.5-inch Super Retina display compared to a 6.7-inch in the 12 Pro Max. It's also OLED. It's 2688 by 1242 pixels resolution, 458 pixels per inch, 625 nits typical brightness compared to 800 nits typical brightness, and it does not have any peak brightness as well. Wide color display, HDR, and then ion strengthened glass protection. Now, when it comes to the display alone, the 12 Pro Max just offers a significant upgrade over the iPhone XS Max. The iPhone 12 Pro Max not only has a larger display, but the screen is brighter as well. That being said, you wouldn't be able to spot the difference between the displays of two devices unless they were side by side like they are now. Now, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has just a much stronger display compared to the iPhone XS Max, but you can get the same level of protection on your iPhone XS Max if you use a tempered glass screen protector. I honestly think the display should not be the deciding factor on whether you should upgrade to the new device. Now, taking a look at the camera on both these devices, on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, you get a 12 megapixel primary camera with a f1.6 aperture dual pixel PDF sensor shift and optical image stabilization. You also get another 12 megapixel telephoto camera with 2.5 times optical zoom, 65 millimeters focal length, f2.2 aperture, and it also has PDAF and optical image stabilization. And then for the third camera on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, you get the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with f2.4 aperture, 120 degree field of view, 13 millimeter focal length, fixed focus, and then you get the 3D TOF LiDAR scanner, 4K 60 frames per second, video recording with Dolby Vision, front-facing camera that's 12 megapixels, and then you get the f2.2 aperture on that front-facing camera on the 12 Pro Max, of course. So you do get 4K 60 frames per second video recording on that front-facing camera. Whereas on the iPhone XS Max, you get the rear camera that's 12 megapixels that as the primary camera. It has an f1.8 aperture that's dual pixel, and it has PDAF and optical image stabilization. And then for the second camera, it's a telephoto camera, 2 times optical zoom, 52 millimeter focal length, 4K 60 frames per second video recording. Then on the front camera, it is a 7 megapixel front camera on the iPhone XS Max, which has a f2.2 aperture, 32 millimeter focal length, and full HD 60 frames per second video recording. Now, the biggest difference between the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone XS Max is in terms of the camera. While the iPhone XS Max comes with a primary and a telephoto lens at the rear, the iPhone 12 Pro Max offers 2 additional cameras, an ultra-wide sensor and a LiDAR camera, which enable you to take images of wide scenes and better portrait images. Additionally, the primary camera on the iPhone 12 Pro Max is much more superior compared to that on the iPhone XS Max. The iPhone 12 Pro Max will capture brighter, sharper, and more detailed pictures compared to the iPhone XS Max in daylight as well as low light conditions. The iPhone 12 Pro Max also has significantly better video recording and a better selfie camera than the iPhone XS Max. So the cameras on the iPhone 12 Pro Max are something that are just stand out from all of its competition, and it honestly is really, really good. Now take a look at the camera app on both of them. They both have the same setup, but then we can hit the 0.5 button on the 12 Pro Max, the 1 times zoom, the 2.5 times zoom, can go all the way up to 12 times, and also with video recording can go all the way up to 7 times. So that's just simply options that you don't have with the iPhone XS Max. You just have this one zoom mode, and you can just zoom as far as you can 10 times, and it's just only 2 cameras, does not have a LiDAR scanner, does not have the ultra wide camera. It's just missing a lot compared to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And you know, technology gets better every year, and that definitely is the case with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, especially that they're 2 years apart now. Now, in terms of performance, the 12 Pro Max has the Apple A14 Bionic chip, which has the 5 nanometer fabrication process, 6-core CPU, 4-core GPU, 60% faster CPU, and 50% GPU compared to the Apple A12 Bionic. The iPhone XS Max has the Apple A12 Bionic, 7 nanometer fabrication process, 6-core CPU, and 4-core GPU. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a much more powerful processor compared to that of the iPhone XS Max. However, the chipset of the iPhone XS Max is already so powerful that you won't be able to feel the extra horsepower that the iPhone 12 Pro Max offers in day-to-day usage. That being said, the iPhone XS Max is already 2 years old, so it might start feeling sluggish 1 or 2 years down the line. So if you upgrade to the iPhone 12 Pro Max today, it will feel peppy even after 3 or 4 years of usage. It all depends how long you're planning to use the device. Now, we can go into Geekbench on the iPhone XS Max and the 12 Pro Max and see how fast the processor actually is. So we could just select CPU, and then we could run the benchmark on both these devices. Now, just as a sign, I already finished the Geekbench on my 12 Pro Max, and it started roughly at the same time, and now I'm still waiting on the iPhone XS Max. So this is just one of the signs that the iPhone XS Max is getting old, and it's only been out for 2 years. So 2 years is a lot of years in the time of technology and the idea of obsolescence. So the results are in. So in terms of the single core on the 12 Pro Max, it got a score of 1596 compared to 1120. And now the multi-core is where the 12 Pro Max started to pull away. So that was 4,279 compared to 1,934. So you can see that the 12 Pro Max is just definitely very speedy, very snappy, and very crispy in terms of the overall performance that you will get with that brand new Apple A14 Bionic chip compared to the Apple A12 chip. Now, in terms of storage, the iPhone 12 Pro Max has the NVMe storage technology with the storage options of 128 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, and 512 gigabytes, and has 6 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the iPhone XS Max has the NVMe storage technology with the storage options of 64 gigabytes, 256 gigabytes, and 512 gigabytes, with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So there's 2 gigabytes of RAM difference between these two devices, with the iPhone 12 Pro Max having 6 and the iPhone XS Max having 4. While the iPhone 12 Pro Max tops out at 512 gigabytes of storage, just like the iPhone XS Max, it comes with 2 gigabytes of additional RAM capacity. The 4 gigabytes of RAM on the iPhone XS Max is already enough to handle the heaviest of multitasking, but just like its processing power, the RAM capacity might feel restricted 1 or 2 years down the line, especially when you consider the apps and games that are getting heavier day by day. And if you buy the iPhone 12 Pro Max now, its RAM capacity won't become a bottleneck for you in the coming years. You have no worries about that whatsoever. But the iPhone XS Max will get slower day by day and is a different story. Now, in terms of the battery, the iPhone 12 Pro Max comes with 3,687 milliamp hour capacity of battery compared to a 3,174 milliamp hour battery on the iPhone XS Max. It has 20 hours of video playback for downloaded videos versus 15 hours of video playback for downloaded videos on the iPhone XS Max. It has 80 hours of audio playback on that battery life compared to 65 hours of audio playback on the iPhone XS Max. So you can see that there's a difference in the battery. It has 18-watt wired charging on both of them, but it can charge 50% in 30 minutes, and this can also charge 50% in 30 minutes. And it also does have 15-watt wireless charging, but the iPhone 12 Pro Max has the MagSafe charging compatibility. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max not only has a significantly larger battery compared to the iPhone XS Max, but it also has a much more power efficient processor. So that's something to note. Both these factors give the iPhone 12 Pro Max a much larger battery backup than the iPhone XS Max. While both smartphones have wireless charging, the 12 Pro Max comes with the MagSafe mounting technology that has magnets to keep compatible accessories attached to the device, which enables you to use wireless charging and even when you're using the phone. So if you had purchased the iPhone XS Max when it was launched, it is already 2 years old now, and its battery life might have started to degrade. So getting the iPhone 12 Pro Max will ensure that you have no more battery woes. Now, when it comes to connectivity, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is a generation ahead in terms of connectivity with its 5G support compared to the iPhone XS Max. However, the availability of the 5G network is very limited at the moment, and it doesn't make sense to upgrade to a new phone just for 5G connectivity, at least for now. The iPhone 12 Pro Max, however, does come with ultra-wideband support, which is something that'll be very useful in the near future. UWB is something said to come in handy to connect with smart products. For example, it can replace your car keys to authenticate the vehicle. If you have a smartphone that has all the connectivity options in the market, then the 12 Pro Max is definitely the one for you. Now, in terms of price, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is starting at $1099, and in terms of price for the iPhone XS Max, it started at $1099 2 years ago. So you won't feel much of a difference between the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone XS Max in terms of design, display, and performance in day-to-day usage. However, the 12 Pro Max is a huge upgrade over the iPhone XS Max in terms of the camera and battery life. The superior camera and longer battery backup of the 12 Pro Max will make a huge impact on your user experience. Not only that, but you'll be getting a future-proof connectivity of options and performance that will make you feel peppy even after 2 or 3 years of ownership. So based on that, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is the winner in this video and definitely defeats the iPhone XS Max due to those reasons. So hopefully you enjoyed this video on the iPhone 12 Pro Max versus the iPhone XS Max. If you did, be sure to smash the like button down below. Leave a comment down below on what you think of both these devices. Also, be sure to check out all my other videos on my channel. Be sure to check out my social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. My username there is AppleCritics. And be sure to subscribe for more great content. And thanks for watching.